Hey guys, and welcome back to another video in MLB The Show 19. And what we're going to be doing in this one is we're going to be taking the top rookies from the 2019 season and putting them all on one team and seeing if that team is good enough to compete over the next 2 to 3 year window. So right off the bat, I don't have everyone included. There were a couple guys that, I didn't want to leave off, but I had to because there just weren't enough spaces on the team to fit everyone. And certain guys, of course, we're going to go through the roster, but certain guys, maybe you don't entirely agree with that I have them on the team over somebody else, but I think a lot of it comes down to opinion once you start to fill up the team and you can't really fit everyone in there. For instance, I don't have Michael Chavis, I don't have Christian Walker, I don't have a guy like Brandon Lowe from the Rays, I believe. I don't have Bo Bichette. There are a couple guys that I don't have on this team that you might notice, but I just tried to do in combination of how they actually did in real life, along with their age, their potential, their overall, and how they perform in the game. I tried to do the best combination of those things to the best of my abilities. So not everybody's going to be here. Just a little heads up there. But to go through the roster, and before we do, one more thing, I did put a couple of extra pitchers who were also rookies, of course, in the minor leagues, just kind of for backup, because a lot of the guys in the bullpen are either a little bit older or their potential isn't that great, so we're not really sure how exactly they might progress over the next 2 to 3 years. And of course, if somebody isn't doing well and we do kind of want to still compete as much as possible, just to have some guys as backup that we can call up is probably a good idea. So I wanted to do that as well. But yeah, we're going to be going, like I said, 2 to 3 years, and we're going to see if this team is good enough to compete with all the other good teams out there. See if they're good enough to make the postseason, maybe win a World Series in that span. It's going to be tough, but we'll see if they're able to do that. And of course, we kind of have to give them a year or two to really kind of develop before we can expect them to really be pushing a World Series title if they get that far. But pretty excited to see how this one goes, and let's get into the roster here. So for our starting pitchers, we have Mike Soroka, Chris Paddock, Zach Gallen, John Means, and Zach Plesac. Those are going to be our starting five. And then in the minors, we have John Duplanter, Dustin May, Daniel Ponce de Leon. There are a couple more. Aaron Savale and Ranger Suarez. More than I thought. Devin Smeltzer. And I believe that's it. There are a couple of starters and relievers mixed up on, there's 1 or 2 relievers that are starters in this and 1 or 2 actual starters that are labeled as relievers. But I didn't really think it was too important to change that. Now, in the relievers for who we have in the minors, we got Spencer Turnbull, Adrian Hauser, Tanner Rainey, who I think is having a pretty good postseason. I think he's having a good postseason. I saw 1 or 2 appearances of his, and he was doing pretty good. But he did have a good year. Scott Barlow, and I think that's it. Yeah, but on the Major League roster, of course, we're starting with Marcus Walden, Ryan Harper, who I think is Bryce's brother. I could be wrong, but I feel like it is. Maybe. Nick Anderson, Tim Hill, Adam Kolarek, and Jairo Diaz. And then closing pitcher, who's not really the closing pitcher for us, but Ty Buttery. And then we go to the catchers. We have Francisco Mejia as backup. And then in the majors, we have Carson Kelly and Will Smith. And the main reason that I don't have Mejia there, aside from his overall being lower, is he is not very good offensively in this game, and he does kind of struggle with that as you progress forward. So definitely want to go with Kelly and Smith to start off. First base, we got Pete Alonso, and Yordan Alvarez is going to be the DH. Matt Beattie, I don't think anybody's going to claim him. That could be a problem, but I didn't have room for him right now, so he is going to be back up in the minors. We got Keston Hiura, Luis Arias in the minors, Vlad Guerrero Jr., and then Fernando Tatis at short, and Tommy Edman. And I picked Edman to make the Major League roster over Matt Beattie, just because he plays a few more positions. He plays short, second, and third, and I don't know how much durability is going to play into this, if that's going to take away from how well they do. So just to be a little more careful, I chose Edman over Beattie. Might have gone the other way around if I wasn't thinking about, if these guys are going to get tired. Because I actually have to check. I actually shouldn't, actually. I'm saying the word actually a lot. I'm thinking I shouldn't have injuries on because that would kind of take away from what we're doing, because we want to see how well these guys do. So I need to check that. So I'll remember that after the roster. But moving forwards, in which case, with that, real quickly, I don't think the durability would necessarily come into play, but we shall see. So in the outfield, we're pretty much full at the Major League roster, at the Major League level, of left fielders, with Verdugo and Riley being on the bench, Brian Reynolds, Yastrzemski, and Eloy Jimenez as our starting three. Of course, we have Trent Grisham as backup, Adam Hastley, and Aristides Aquino. Not sure which one that is. But yeah, we got him as backup as well. So yeah, that's going to be the roster. We already set the lineups, as you can see. It's going to be the same for righties and lefties. Just the only difference is Yordan Alvarez and a couple of the way I set them up, line them up. A couple guys more towards the bottom. And then we have the rotation here, as you can see, with the bullpen. And everything's good to go. I just got to make sure I set the injuries off, because we don't want that to interfere. Usually I'll have injuries on because I like to make it as realistic as possible in that sense. But for this one and certain videos, of course, it doesn't really work if you have them on. So we are ranked 21st overall right now. And what I'm thinking of doing is I'm just going to sim through the entire season. Oh, wait, hold on. Advanced, that's what I wanted. I'm just going to sim through the entire season. We'll kind of meet up at the end of the year, go over really briefly how everyone did, and how the season went, and we'll do that for 3 seasons. And if they make the playoffs, we'll sim together through the actual playoffs, and potentially, depending on time, we might quick manage a elimination game, whether we're going to be eliminated or whether we're going to win in the playoffs, of course. So with that being said, I'll meet you guys at the end of season 1, and we'll see how this team performed. Alright, so we made it to the end of year 1. Didn't do too well, as you guys can see the playoff brackets there. Yeah, so we didn't do too great. In the first half, we did worse than we did in the second half. We came all the way up to, well, that might be, the overall rank might be a little bit off because we still have or do we? I was thinking it might be off because we still have the 40-man rosters, but we don't, actually. So we did get that much better. Wow, okay, nice. So everybody's improving, at least there's that. So we went 76 and 86, 10 games under 500. We finished 4th in the AL West. Like I said, in the first half up to the All-Star break, we were really struggling. I think we were closer to 20, maybe a little bit more than that, games under 500. So we did pick it up in the second half, which was nice to see. There were a good amount of players on the team struggling at that point. I haven't checked it since. Our one All-Star was Tatis, who I think was hitting like 247 at the time. So, not the best overall production from the team. But again, like I said, that's to be expected. They're going to progress and develop, and we got to give them a year to kind of get there. I did also call up Beattie and send down Edman, just because Edman was struggling and Beattie was doing really well, and because of the durability, I didn't think it was really going to be an issue. So hopefully nobody took Edman. Alright, so let's take a look and see how everybody did. The starters, not good, as you can see. Means did pretty well, an ERA under 4. Gallen, not too bad, just over 4. And Plesac actually did the best. So these three actually had a nice year. Had nice years. Soroka and Paddock, the guys that I expected to have good years, dominant years, did not. So we'll kind of look to them and see if they can bounce back next season, and hopefully these three can continue their production. In the bullpen, Tim Hill had a pretty shutdown season. Diaz didn't have a bad year either. Walden, not bad as well, just over 4 for his ERA. Nick Anderson did struggle with an ERA over 6. Harper didn't do too bad either, 3.91 ERA. He did have 10 blown saves though, 39 saves overall. He is trending down, and that's kind of what I'm worried about in the bullpen here, that some of these guys trend down because they are older. Maybe they're not having a good year, and they're a little bit older, and their potential is a C. Maybe they start to trend down. So that's kind of why I had these guys in kind of backup in the minors. So that might come into play a little bit next season and in year number 3. Kolarek, though, again, not the best year. Ty Buttrey, not too bad for him, 4.26 ERA. Moving on to the offensive side of things, we got Mejia. Why am I talking about? He's still in the minors. Okay, so Carson Kelly, don't know why I skipped him. 226, 12 homers. Not the best year. I kind of want to see what his fielding was. His fielding was pretty good, actually. He had a 2 WAR, so not bad. Average isn't there. Didn't really do a whole lot of production, but again, catcher spot, you don't quite expect as much as you would from other positions. Will Smith had a nice year in a backup role. Pete Alonso had a pretty dominant year, but nothing compared to real life. He's so good, but not as good here. That's pretty crazy when the video game version of you is not as good as the real life version of you, because you usually think video games you can just like go insane, but yeah, he's that good. Yordan Alvarez hit 30 home runs, so he had a nice year, 260. Good job in the DH spot. You got Matt Beatty, who hit 308 in 65 at bats. Keston Hiura hit 233. He usually struggles a little bit, at least in the first season, from my experience playing on here. So we'll see how he kind of bounces back, if he can bounce back, or if he can develop a little bit more. I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly. We got Vlad Guerrero hitting 250 with 20 homers, so a little bit of a down first year for him. Tatis Jr. 243 with 19. Edman, as you can see, was struggling, hitting just over 200 in a good amount of plate appearances or at bats. So, I did think it was a better call to call up Beatty. Moving on to the outfield, though, we got Jimenez 272 with 27 homers, so he did a pretty nice year. Brian Reynolds hit 20 homers, hit 259. Austin Riley will probably take over that third outfield spot from Yastrzemski next season. He hit 249 though, Yastrzemski, with 15 homers. Riley really struggled on that bench, but he is improving, so yeah, it'll probably be him, Reynolds, and Jimenez next year. Grisham was having a good year, at least halfway through in the minors, so we might call him up to replace Verdugo. Kind of mix and match here and see how everybody does. But yeah, Verdugo hit 227 with 5 homers. And then, of course, we had Aquino and Hasely in the minors, who are still improving. So, not the best year. Did we get Rookie of the Year? We did. Pete Alonso, nice. Hopefully that is the case in real life. And yeah, we're going to move on to year number 2. I'll sim through the postseason. We'll see who wins it. We got the Red Sox defeating the Braves in the 2019 World Series. Not quite the way it worked out. But yeah, alright, so I'm going to go through the off season. I'll meet you guys back at the end of season 2, and we'll see if we've made any improvements for this team over that time. Alright guys, so I lied. We're meeting at the beginning of year number 2. Just quickly, I wanted to go over a few things. One, with the contracts, I forgot to do the coaches, which always helps out the players a bit. So I fired everyone, and then I brought in everyone with A attributes, the best guys that were available. And then this guy for third base coach, there were no A, like coaches with an A attribute grade. So I got the best B available, and I signed him to a 1-year deal. So next off season we will try to find someone with an A A attribute grade to put there so that we have a whole coaching staff of A's. So that was that. And then a few things here. One was that we kept Dustin May on the Major League roster. We put him in the closer's role. I'm going to see if that works out. We have Ty Buttrey now in AAA. And we just moved Ryan Harper to middle relief from the closer's role. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. And then, should say there. And then we got, instead of having Verdugo on the bench, we called up Grisham to be on the bench. Yastrzemski is not going to be in the starting lineup. He's going to be on the bench. And then Austin Riley, who has now jumped up to the top for left fielders here, he's going to be in left field instead of Yastrzemski. So those are really the only changes that we made. Everything else is the same. And I will meet you guys at the end of Season 2 here, and we're going to see how the team does at that point. Okay, so we made it to the end of Season 2, and if you're looking at the playoff bracket, you can see that we did, in fact, win the division. So we went 97-65. That was a really good improvement on last year when we were 10 games under. We moved up to 32 games over. That is a 21-win improvement, which is really good. We're ranked 9th overall now. We did start the season ranked 18th, so we really did improve there as well. One more thing, if I remember, it should have been up on the screen at the beginning of the video, but just in case I didn't, and you're still watching, if you're wondering what roster I'm using, and I'll also have it below in the description, but I'm using the RidinRosters from, I think it was right after the trade deadline. I'm not sure if there's any new updated ones from him. I haven't checked for a few weeks, but last time I checked there wasn't. So this is the one that I'm using, and this is the one that I prefer. So just in case you guys were wondering about that. But we did have 2 All-Stars. Tatis again, who at the break was hitting around 300, a little bit below that. With about 20 homers, I think. And then Alonso also made the All-Star team with 24 home runs. He was in the home run derby as well. So yeah, let's take a look at the team and see how we did, if we had any league leaders. Soroka in winning percentage. He had 21 wins, wow. And Dustin May with 54 saves. I guess that worked out. Dustin May, putting him in the closer's role. I mean, his ERA was 3.5, but he got the job done. Okay, and then awards. Austin Riley got Rookie of the Year, nice. And Mike Soroka got the Cy Young. He really did a lot better this year. A lot more what I expected from him. Alright, so let's take a look at the stats. Starting pitchers, Paddock had a bounce back year, 3.54, over 200 innings. Soroka, we know, won the Cy Young with 21 wins. John Means had a really good season again, 3.04 ERA, 16 wins. Zach Gallen struggled, but he did have 16 wins. That kind of shows you how the wins aren't exactly a stat you can really go by anymore. Not a very good year for a starter, but still had 16 wins. So, the offense helped him out. Dustin May, we know he was the closer. He had, 54 saves? Yep. And a 3.52 ERA. Whip was a little on the high side, but... And then we have Zach Plesac with a 4.77 ERA, so not the best year for him either. Moving into the bullpen, we have Nick Anderson, who had a bounce-back year, 3.58. I think his ERA was around 6 last season. Tim Hill with a 3.9. Ryan Harper with a 2.15. Marcus Walden, as you can see, under 4, and then Jairo Diaz, 3.33, and then I almost forgot Kolarek, who also had a bounce-back year. His ERA was in the 5s, I think, or close to it, and now it's a 2.61, so he had a very nice season. Buttrey wasn't in the majors. Moving on to the offensive side of things, we got Carson Kelly hitting .213 with 12 homers, so not really an improvement. If anything, he got a little bit worse. We'll see how his fielding was, kind of around the same. WAR, decent difference there, only 0.6 from a 2 last season. Will Smith did nice in the backup role again, .247, 2 homers. in 100 at-bats. Pete Alonso hit 300 with 38 bombs and 118 RBIs. Yordan Alvarez again hitting that 30 home run mark in the DH spot. We got Matt Beattie. Didn't do as good as he did last year, but he had a lot more at-bats. Hit 221. Keston Hiura is slowly improving. 254 average. OBP, I'd like to get that over 300. That'd be nice. Vlad Guerrero improved as well. 270 with 29 homers. Yeah, so a lot of these guys are improving a little bit year by year. So I'm excited for year 3 to see how they do. But Tatis Jr. hit 30 plus homers, 279 average. Austin Riley, 25 and 285. Eloy had a little bit of a down year from last year, but you know, maybe it's not what you expect from him, but not a bad year for an outfielder. Brian Reynolds, 285 with 16 homers. Trent Grisham hit 315 on the bench with 11 home runs. So he did really good in that role. And then Yastrzemski, 284 with 1 homer. That is from the playoffs and the minors, I guess, not the whole year. But yeah, we'll take a look and see how they do in the playoffs, and we'll get simming through that. All right, so let's see. Game 1, Game 2. Wow, that happens a lot more often than I'd like it to in this game. You go up 2-0 and then you just get swept the rest of the way, and you're eliminated. So the Cleveland Indians eliminated the rookie team in year number 2. So hopefully they make it back to the playoffs next year, which I feel like they should, obviously, from the improvements for all the players and, you know, just what you would expect. So hopefully they can get a little bit further along in the postseason next year, which will be the last year of this video. So we'll see if they can do better. I will meet you guys at the end of year 3, and we'll see how this team does in the last year of this. Alright, so really quickly, I completely forgot to finish the postseason, but the Indians, who eliminated us, have defeated the Dodgers in the 2020 World Series. So now, I'll meet you guys at the end of year 3. Alright, so we made it to the end of season 3. Did not do as good as I expected to do, but we did make the postseason. We won the division again. We went 88 and 74. For the majority of the season, we were kind of struggling. We weren't in first place until I think middle of August, and you know, the Astros and Angels just didn't. The Angels didn't hold up throughout the year because they were in first place, and the Astros didn't perform the way you'd expect them to perform. But maybe they've lost some of their players by this point, so they're not quite as the dominant team as they are. Being 1 win away from a second World Series in 3 years right now. But yeah, so we did win the division. Although we didn't do quite as good as I thought. We are ranked 2nd right now, which is a crazy improvement in just 3 seasons from being 21st. But that's what happens when you have a team full of top rookies. Anything else? We don't have any league leaders. But you can see Alonso right there with 44 homers. We don't have any award winners, it doesn't seem like. 62 for Blackman. Wow. Wow. Hold on a second. I just want to see homers. 49, 62, 51. Once in a while, a guy will get like 62 homers. It's so rare. Okay, so let's see how everyone did. We made a lot of changes this time throughout the season, trying to figure out what worked, mostly with the pitching. We did keep Beattie in the minors this year. Or no, we didn't. I lied. He started out in the majors, but then we sent him down because he wasn't performing, and we did call up Tommy Edman, who did a lot better than he did in limited at-bats. But the pitching was another story. Paddock struggled for the majority of the year, again until like mid-August, and then May started as the closer. We moved him into the rotation and moved Plesac into the closer's role. He didn't do that bad because his ERA already was kind of even higher than it was right now, but I mean, he didn't have a good season. We called up Ponce de Leon, sent down a couple guys in the bullpen like Jairo Diaz, Adam Kolarek, Marcus Walden. All of them were struggling. As you can see, a couple guys here in the bullpen really are struggling right now. Even we called up Spencer Turnbull, we called up Ty Buttrey. The guys that we called up did okay. I mean, Ponce de Leon didn't really have a lot of time playing, so he didn't have a lot of innings pitched, a lot of games played. So, you know, his ERA is 4.15, but you can't necessarily take too much from that. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little concerned about the bullpen here with Tim Hill and Ryan Harper. I gotta keep Hill because he's our one lefty, and Harper was doing good. He just had a bad second half, but apparently a really bad second half. But maybe it's a little bit more because his innings aren't that high. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, everything is the way that it was. So we got Soroka here, who had another really good year, 3.23. Paddock, as I said, bounced back in the second half of the second half, and his ERA is standing at 4.11. Dustin May had a nice year, 3.2. He even has 21 saves to go along with it. Zach Gallen had an ERA of 4.14. John Means 3.5. Ponce de Leon, we know, in his brief time in the majors. And then Zach Plesac, we know, who's in the closer's role right now. He did have 24 saves, but his ERA was over almost 5.5, so a little worrisome there. Ty Buttrey, 3.25 ERA in 44 innings. Nick Anderson, another good year at 3.21. Spencer Turnbull did good when we called him up. He has a 3.74 ERA in 45 innings. And then Tim Hill, 5.4 and 50 plus. And Harper, over 5.5 and 35. So we're really kind of worried about those two there. Catchers, we got Carson Kelly, hit 238, 7 homers. I started having him, I think halfway through the season, platoon with Will Smith. So, you know, hopefully that helped out. WAR of 1.1, so it went up from last year. Will Smith, 216, 6 homers. We'll see how he did on defense. He had a WAR of 1, so that's good. 2 errors, not too bad. Mejia did improve, but not enough to the point that I wanted to call him up and would have been more comfortable with him platooning with Carson Kelly against righties, because, I mean, Will Smith is kind of around the same as he is, maybe a point or two lower versus righties, but Carson Kelly, he actually did improve versus righties, but he's still not as good as these two versus righties. So, you know, I didn't want him the everyday catcher at this point. So Pete Alonso, 276 with 44 homers. Yordan Alvarez, again, 37 homers, 289. He was hitting over 300 for quite a while. Keston Hiura, 247, 16 homers. Wow. On base went down. Okay, so he never had an on base over 300. But that's what happens when you're disciplined for some reason on here is 34. I don't know if his discipline and play, I don't know how he is with the work and walks in real life. But I feel like he's not that bad. I really don't know. I'll have to take a look at that. Guerrero Jr., 291, finally got to 30 plus homers, 33. So he's doing a nice job there, improving every year. Tatis Jr. hit 30 homers again, hit 256. Tommy Edman, 279 in limited time. Eloy hit 31 homers. That was the first time he hit 30. Brian Reynolds, 277 with 25 homers. Austin Riley, 268, with 24. Those 2 points matter. Verdugo on the bench hit 282 with 8 homers, and then Grisham hit 345. Power went down, but I feel like they seem to be going with like the higher overall gets a lot more at bats, like 3 times the at bats as the lower overall between the 4th and 5th outfielders here. So I guess that's kind of why. But yeah, Yastrzemski started in the minors. He was there throughout the entire season, and we kept Verdugo and Grisham. All right, so that is that. And we'll see how they do in the postseason. So let's get to simming that. As you can see, the playoff brackets here with we're going to be taking on Cleveland again, so that's bad news. Come on. Should we quick manage? I don't want to quick manage it. We won. No, come on. It doesn't work the other way around, apparently. Okay, so if we go down 0-2, we're doomed. So again, we got eliminated by Cleveland. I mean, just for this type of video and for time-wise, I didn't really want to quick manage, but I mean, you know, this is a pretty good team. This is a really good team, obviously, from the players in real life, but they really do perform well for the most part. A lot of them are constantly improving. You know, the bullpen is an issue. Not all of it, but a good portion of it is an issue. Either you got to wait for guys to improve and become a little more consistent, or you got guys kind of trending down. Like Tim Hill did really good for 2 seasons, but then he did awful this year. Same with Ryan Harper. Not too bad. He was in the closer's role. Maybe he was a little uncomfortable there, but he did a lot better when he was just a regular middle relief guy in year 2. But then this year, halfway through, he really started to struggle. He is trending up though, so it's not like he's declining that much. Yeah, the bullpen is, you know, just like in real life, it's an iffy thing. You can't really depend on too many guys to be there year in, year out and be, you know, consistent and really good and guys that you can trust. Yeah, so the bullpen was an issue. For the most part, the starting rotation was pretty solid. You know, catching is catching. You know, it's hard to find a really good catcher for both defense and offense. I feel like, you know, Alonso and Alvarez were really good first base and DH. Hiura, I think he takes a while to kind of get going in this game. I mean, in real life, he's really good, but in this game, it takes a few years for him to really get to where he needs to be. Guerrero Jr., same with him, but, you know, he did really good this year. Big improvement from year 1. Tatis, same thing. I feel like offensively in this game, he doesn't quite do as good as you'd expect, but sometimes he'll have years here and there where he does. I mean, other people may have other experiences with that, but that seems to be the case when I'm playing. But, you know, he was pretty good for us, especially years 2 and 3. Then we got Eloy, who, you know, just continues to improve. He's done pretty well. Reynolds is a nice guy, a nice player to have. Same with Riley. He's got a lot of power, but I don't know. He has a lot of power, but he always, again, people might have different experiences. He always tends to like struggle to get to that 30 home run mark. Surprisingly to me. But yeah, not a bad player, of course. Verdugo, I've had mixed experiences with him. Like he did good this year, but a lot of times he'll have like an okay year and then he'll be hitting like 220, and I don't quite understand why. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's better to leave him in the minors, have him develop a little bit more. Maybe that would be a good idea instead of starting him out in the majors and keeping him there. He is still pretty young when in 2019 he's 22. And then Trent Grisham has done pretty good, so he's a player that I might start to target a little bit more in franchises, because I don't. The last time I did a franchise, I didn't even know he existed. So yeah, pretty good player there. So overall, really good team. These guys take a little bit of time to develop, but once they do, this is a powerhouse. I feel like, you know, the Indians apparently are are the best team in baseball. But yeah, let's take a look and see who wins it. We got the Indians and the Yankees. Dodgers, of course, made it. No, it's Yankees Dodgers. Okay. So the Yankees have beat the Dodgers in the 2021 World Series. So that does it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a little bit different than just a regular franchise, of course, but you know, I kind of want to get back into the franchises. Just kind of like the regular ones. Maybe we can switch it up a little bit here and there with videos like this, but I do kind of enjoy the franchises the most. So right now I'll probably be heading back into those when I do upload. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry it's been so long since the last one. You know, I try to upload as much as possible when I can, but other stuff is going on, so it's a little hard. It's been a little hard to do it pretty much at all recently, but I'll try to be able to I'll try to do it when I'm able to, and hopefully that'll increase in frequency. But yeah, again, for the third time, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was pretty fun to do. It's always cool to see these loaded teams, especially when they're rookies and they just keep developing. It's pretty fun. But until the next one, I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you guys later.